I sold my body to feed my family. They spent the money on parties. I think I got tired of living for everyone else. At 23, I decided to completely distance myself from my family. I didn't say anything. I didn't explain. I just disappeared. Since I was a teenager, I had to take on a role that was never mine. My father was absent, and we never got any kind of support from his side of the family. Not a phone call, not a visit, not a single bit of financial help. As the oldest sister, the responsibility of taking care of my mom and siblings fell on me. There was no choice. It was either that or watch them fall apart completely. And when you're young, you think you have to do it, that there's no other way. You don't even question it, you just do it. It started small. I skipped hanging out with friends so I could watch my siblings after school. Then I got a part-time job to help buy groceries, and I kept going. The adults around me said I was being so strong and so mature for my age. But deep down, I was just scared. Scared of what would happen if I stopped. Out of necessity and my own survival, I ended up working as an escort. It wasn't for pleasure or out of curiosity. It was pure, raw desperation. I was 19. I remember sitting in our tiny apartment, looking at bills stacked on the table, listening to my siblings telling me they didn't have money for school supplies, my mom crying about rent, and realizing I didn't see any other way out. What I earned covered food, bills, school supplies, clothes, everything they needed. And I also had to survive. I had to eat, pay my own rent, keep the lights on. Whatever I had left after sending them money was barely enough for me to stay afloat, so I kept going even though I hated every single second of it. I hated my work. I hated how it made me feel, how it changed how I saw myself. There's this hollow feeling you get when you have to smile through something that is destroying you from the inside. But I convinced myself it was worth it, for them, for a better future for them. If I just worked harder, if I just endured a little more, things would get better. But eventually, the emotional weight started killing the love I had for them. It stopped being about love and became about guilt. A constant sense that if I didn't sacrifice myself, no one else would. That if I stopped, everything would crumble. That I was selfish for even wanting to stop. It's exhausting when your entire existence feels like a debt you can never repay. One day, I woke up and realized I couldn't keep doing this. I had no life of my own, no identity, just a constant cycle of work, guilt, sending money, and silence. So I packed up and moved to another part of the country. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even leave a note. I just left. From there, I kept sending money. I told myself it was temporary, that I just needed space. But the more distance I put between us, the more detached I became. I stopped feeling connected. I didn't want to hear from them. I didn't want to be the person who was only valuable because of the money she sent. And then one day, I found out the truth. While I was breaking myself piece by piece, doing something that destroyed me, they were spending the money on alcohol, parties, and unnecessary things, like it was normal. Like my sacrifice meant nothing, like they had no idea or didn't care what it was costing me. That's when I broke. I cut them off completely. No more money, no more messages, no explanations. I disappeared. Not out of revenge, not because I wanted to hurt them, but because I finally understood that no one was going to protect me if I didn't. No one was going to tell me to stop or tell me I mattered outside of what I gave them. Now I'm alone, yes, in a new place, starting over from scratch. I'm still figuring things out, who I am, what I want, what I deserve. I don't know if I made the best decision. Some nights I second-guess myself, but it was the only decision that kept me emotionally alive. I had to disappear, just so I could begin to exist. Now for the top comments. They were not worth your sacrifice. I'm sorry, my dear, but they used you. They only thought about their own needs and wants. You made the right decision by leaving and cutting them off. I hope you can heal now, grow and find people who do care about you. I'm sure you'll make it through. You come across as a smart and strong young lady. Much love from an internet stranger. Thank you so much for your kind words. Leaving them behind was one of the hardest decisions I've ever made because they were my only family. And for a long time, I thought I should endure anything for them. But I realized I was simply disappearing as a person. I was exhausted, emotionally numb, and completely alone, even when surrounded by people I loved. Now I really am alone in the world. But oddly enough, I'm finally starting to feel peace. I'm recovering, little by little, building a life just for myself. And honestly, it feels so new and strange, but it will be a path I build for myself, and it will be better. Thank you again for taking the time to write this. It means so much more than you know. Oh, honey, brave doesn't even begin to describe what you are. You are so much stronger than you even realize, too. I'm so proud of you for getting out and moving on. I hope you're proud of yourself for putting you first, for once. This is the start of your life. Brand new slate. You got this. Please be sure to choose yourself. Every single time, in every instance. You are precious and worth choosing. Remember the airline rule. Take care of yourself and make sure you are good first before you assist anyone else. Hugs to you, my dear. Now I know it's never worth sacrificing for others, not even family. They'll never truly see how much it costs you. I'm 23, and I'm only just realizing I was never supposed to play the role of a parent to my own family. But life doesn't ask. It just hands you that burden. Thank you for reminding me to choose myself. Next story. My ex-husband returned my dogs to the shelter and one was euthanized. I fought so much for those dogs, and in the end, he won our dogs in the divorce. He had the dogs before our marriage. My ex-husband and I were only married for 2 years. I was completely shocked when I saw on FB that one of my dogs was euthanized at a shelter. Gracie was my favorite dog. She was only 6 years old, and the shelter killed her. She was the sweetest dog I ever met. She loved everyone and everything. My other dog, Shank, was on an adoption page I saw on a local FB group I follow. I immediately called the shelter and said I wanted to adopt him and that he was my old dog, explaining my situation. They told me they were sorry, but that was posted more than a week ago and he's already been adopted. My heart is so broken. I called my ex-husband, and his explanation was that he didn't have time to take care of the dogs anymore, and that they would be in a better home in a more active environment, since the dogs barely went outside when they were living with him. He probably had those dogs for a few months after our divorce, and then he put them in a shelter. I said he should have just given the dogs to me. I loved them. He didn't want to give them to me because he wanted me to suffer. He didn't want me to be happy. He knew how much I loved those dogs, and to make my life miserable, he'd rather have his own dogs euthanized than for me to have them because he knew how much those dogs meant to me. He did say that he didn't think Gracie would get euthanized. He had to see the posts to believe it. I showed it all to him. He claims he didn't know it was a kill shelter, and that he thought she would have gotten adopted easily because she's sweet. But the thing is, she looks like a pit bull. I don't know her exact breed. The shelter he originally got her from labeled her as a hound mix, but she does look like a pit bull, so there are negative stereotypes about pit bulls. And then she's 6 years old, and dogs don't get adopted at an older age, so obviously this was going to happen. I didn't worry too much about Shank since he's a lab. I just hope he truly is in a good home. This whole thing is just so terrible. I keep having dreams about my dogs. I miss them so much. Your ex-husband is an evil human being. That's devastating. I'm so sorry. Yep, knowing for a fact that you wanted them, he was willing to let 2 creatures suffer just so he could be petty. I hope karmic justice is a real thing, because this dude should end up with one of those really gruesome wasting diseases for which there is no treatment. Oh my God, I am so sorry. This is absolutely horrific. Your ex is a straight-up sociopath. I would warn anyone who knows him what he did, and how evil and heartless he is. It's one thing for someone to go after their ex, though that's also crap behavior. But to literally kill an innocent animal just to ensure someone else suffers, that is truly evil. And I hope for the sake of anyone near him that karma gets him fast. I don't buy for a second that he wasn't aware of what he was doing. Are you certain he doesn't have a history of animal abuse or neglect? My heart hurts for you and for poor Gracie, who was probably so scared. I'll be thinking of you and hoping you can heal from this. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that he used our dogs against me. He knew how much I love that dog, and he wouldn't give them to me. He would rather put them in a shelter and God knows what will happen to them or who would have them, just out of spite and hatred toward me. I'm so glad I didn't have kids with this man. He would have found a way to use the kids against me too. OP, you should blast him on every social media site. Share the pictures of the shelter's euthanasia post. Explain how he would rather them be in a shelter than with their mom who fought for them and loved them. Let the world know just how evil this man is. I'm trying to understand what shelter advertises when they euthanize a dog. They were advertising the adoption posts and saying that Gracie is on the euthanization list unless someone adopts her, and they were posting a pic of her with a countdown for euthanization. Then there was a memorial post for Gracie. I saw the posts too late and I called the shelter and unfortunately no one adopted her. Next story. My boyfriend won't marry me, but he wants my child to have his last name. We've been together for 5 years, and I've been pushing marriage since we were dating for 2 years. He always said, it's too fast, or I'm not ready yet, to now saying, what do we need the government involved for in our relationship? He has major trust issues with marriage because almost all his family members are divorced and they lost so much financially. He thinks once we sign the papers, our relationship is going to change. Meanwhile, I don't feel secure in my relationship without a marriage. It just doesn't feel safe and secure. My relationship doesn't feel real. I hate going to doctor's appointments, and the form asks me if I'm single, married, divorced, or separated. I'm forced to circle single, even though I ain't single. There's no baby daddy option. Being a baby mama is just insulting. It makes a woman feel like we're not enough, and there will always be a door open because we don't have the highest level of commitment. I explained to my boyfriend what it means to be married to me, and he said he can't do it, but he wants to stay together, live together, and have this baby together. I told him if I can't have his last name, then my child won't have his last name. He told me not to be goofy now, and that's just silly, because all babies have their father's last name. Even when the kids barely even know their fathers, they still got their daddy's last name. Which is true. I've never met someone with their mama's last name, but I'm serious. I'll give my baby my last name as long as the hospital staff lets me. My only fear is my boyfriend doing the birth certificate while I'm recovering. That's exactly what happened to someone else I knew. It's been 5 years. If he wanted to marry you, he would have. Give the baby your name. I have a friend who gave her child her last name. It's not like you aren't allowed to. He doesn't have any right to fill out the birth certificate if you aren't married, OP. Make sure you let the nurses know so he doesn't try to sneak it while you are recovering from labor and/or surgery. Or better yet, don't let him in the room for the birth. If he refuses to be a husband, then he obviously doesn't consider you family, and I would only let my family in the room with me. You and this child deserve so much better than this. Don't you dare give that child a different last name than yours. I am definitely not giving my baby his last name. Family is trying to tell me to stop being petty and that you're supposed to give the child the father's last name. I'm just like, sis, under what law? Last story. My husband left me for my cousin, and it's one of the best things that ever happened to me. I was raised in a semi-traditional family, which means it's less, you'll dishonor or embarrass us by not getting married, and more, you'll break your mother's heart if you're not married. So when I was introduced to my now ex-husband, who's a kind, smart, financially stable man, we got married right away. He was a wonderful husband, and I care about him very much. I think we made a good team for a while there. We earned the same, supported each other without either of us having to depend on the other, took care of chores, and bonded as life partners. It changed when my husband met my cousin, let's call her Tina. For context, her mother, my mom's older sister, and mine had a bad history, which I'd rather not share because it's family business, but they stopped talking when I was 20. However, my mother encouraged me and my siblings to get along with our cousins, as she didn't want the bad blood to get between us. My relationship with Tina is civil at best though, as she became more like her family as she got older. We talked from time to time, and there was even a period where we talked on a daily basis. And I guess that was the time my husband and Tina interacted. I noticed the change in my husband, of course. He spent more time on his phone and seemed more distracted when we were together. I accepted it as us getting used to each other until he came and talked to me, guilt-ridden and depressed, saying that he had fallen for Tina and thought it would be wrong to keep lying to me. Looking back, I think that was brave of him. I appreciate him the most for it. I wouldn't lie and say I felt nothing, though. I was hurt. Maybe it's because I did come to love him during our time together more than I expected. Maybe it's because there's hidden resentment for Tina's family inside me that had subconsciously told me I lost. But another thing I feel is relief? Freedom almost. We had a peaceful divorce, and I wished him the best. Tina and I did not talk after, but my family and I had some long, tearful conversations. My mother asked me how I could just let him go like that. My father wanted to beat my husband up, but in the end, we kept it in my family only. My sister was my rock during that time. She knew I never wanted the marriage, not willingly, and that this was essentially a way out for me. I feel freer than ever before after the divorce. I don't feel pressure to get or stay married, or even date anymore, as my parents gave me space and time to heal. I'm out living as myself again. Truly, wholly myself. Last I heard of my husband and Tina, they're still dating and seem pretty happy. P.S. One of the last things Tina's mother said to mine was, "You'll have to beg me for help one day." I think it's funny because it did come true somehow for the younger generation. Tina did help me in a sense. Toast to you, cuz. Edit. Just wanted to add that he never cheated on me physically. Like they didn't sleep with each other behind my back before the divorce. As I mentioned, he talked to me about it very clearly and maturely. Someone in the comments said that we got married for the wrong reasons. And you were right. I am grateful for everything we've been through together and happy for him. I respect your opinion on what counts as cheating. If he can do it to you, he can and will do it to her too. Your cousin took the trash out literally. Haha, I don't really think so. We were simply not romantically compatible at the start, and I'm happy he found someone who's right for him. He allowed himself to create such a bond that he fell for someone else despite his vows. You can be forgiving, but he's still trash. Definitely different from most Reddit posts. I'm glad you found an escape way back when, with what seems like was a marriage between two dear friends. It's interesting that even though you came to love him, that you feel relief in the end. Was it a romantic love or a different kind of love? Overall, I'm glad you get to live life as you want without pressure now. Find whatever works for you. It sounds like you're set up for a happy road ahead, no matter which way you pick. Good luck with whatever you do next. I was not sure what kind of love, but I definitely love my freedom more. Haha. Either way, it's still difficult when a spouse wants to break things off when we have settled in a comfortable place for a long time. Thank you kindly for your good luck. Congratulations on your freedom, and hope your parents stay off your back longer. Yes, I secretly revel in the fact that they see me as so vulnerable from the divorce now, that they just stop bringing up romance as a whole. Home visits have never been more relaxing.